All right, welcome all for part two of our series, how to create a hanger. So today we're going to take our hanger that we have here, and we're going to add some textures to it and give it some uh, um, lighting and various stuff like that. For those that don't know, my name is Raymond, and this is Stream Gamers in conjunction with Canuck Air. Canuck Air is my entity that I use for scenery production and stuff like that. And Stream Gamers is my YouTube channel that I publish all of this stuff on. So, anyways, that's kind of who it is, and this is me. So, let's just start by adding some textures in and showing you how to go about getting textures, adding them in, and that sort of thing. So first things first, let's move that out of the way. Let me get to my spot where I get my textures from. Now there are other places to get textures from, but this is one of the biggest places that I go to. Mostly everything I've ever downloaded off of here is free. It always works, and there's a huge selection of textures. So you can see here 2458, so 2,458 different textures, all different things: metal, wood, plastic, cloth, you name it. It's mostly here. About the only thing I've ever looked for here that I haven't found is a glass texture. That seems to be quite elusive. Like a clear glass texture. I've seen some versions of glass textures, like these ones here and that kind of stuff, but not the clear glass that I'm actually looking for. Anyways, so this is the place. I'll move that aside. I'll have a list of textures that we're going to add. Now, so far, as far as I know, I've utilized two different versions of textures. Okay. So I've utilized a texture which is, say for example, this. It's just one image and it's a texture. For those that are adding textures into Microsoft Flight Sim 2020 as a single texture like this, be aware that the size of the image has to be divisible by 4, right? So 4, 16, 32 and along the line, and they have to be square. They can't be a rectangular shape, right? So you can't have it, even though it's divisible by 4, it can't be 69 by 512, right? 512 is divisible by 4, but 69 is not, so it has to be square. Okay. So those are the two criteria that you have to be mindful of, that if you're having struggles or troubles with textures, odds are that's going to be your problem. You may not see that so much here in Blender, but you're definitely going to see that in the exporting, and when you bring it into Flight Sim 2020, it's the texture isn't going to show. Okay, so there is this texture. Then the other texture, which we're going to look at. We're going to use this texture, so I'll bring this here to look at this. So this is a texture that actually has the base color, right? And then it has the texture part of it, and then it has other components such as roughness, ambient occlusion. I don't know what all that actually is. I just know the roughness kind of gives the feel for textures being rough. Now, when you look closely at a textured building, especially like corrugated metal, where it's supposed to give you that raised and recessed look, when you look at it closely, it actually isn't. It's kind of like a two-dimensional image that looks three-dimensional. Okay. It does a pretty decent job, and from a distance, you'll never know. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to import all of the textures that I plan to use here. Now there'll be one more that I'll bring in later, but I'll do that later. Okay, so how do we do that? We go up here, we go to import, we go to there and we back out and we're going to go find our texture folder, which is right there. Now I have a list of textures that we're going to use. Corrugated one, okay. So notice how when I showed you here, I showed you all of these files, but the reality is I'm going to load this texture in using this one file, okay. So that's it right there. I'm going to come down here. I'm going to click on material. It's important that all three of these entities are selected. If you don't select all three of them, the texture will not import itself into Blender correctly. Okay, import. So that's number one. Number two, import is metal 37. So I'll just go down to the M's 37. It's this texture I want. All of it is checked. Okay. Paint plaster 12. Import. Now I typically will create a list like this of textures when I know which ones I'm going to use, but I often don't know until I kind of go through it. Unless I'm actually trying to replicate something, well then I know all of the textures that I intend to use. Paint plaster 12. Paint plaster 12 right there. Always check to make sure that's right. Paint wood 6. Paint wood 6. And that's it. There'll be one more that we're going to put in later. We're going to do that later. For right now, those are all of the textures that we plan to use as we go through this and go forward. First thing we're going to do is we're going to add glass. We're going to make these windows see-through. All right, left, glass, toggle. I'm going to highlight them all so we have them all highlighted. And so that's what we're working on. So we go down here and we click on material. That's our material. We go to surface. We click on base color. We click on down here alpha and we set it to 0.2. Now there's variations of this that you can actually do. You don't have to use 0.2. You could use 0.3 or 0.1 and it'll give you different variations of glass. This is just to show you how to create the glass so that you actually have glass, working glass. Now, settings. Under Blender mods, we want to use, Alpha Blender. And then the final piece of the puzzle is in MSFS, Material Params. We go to Standard, we click on Base Color, and we set this to 0.2 as well. Okay. That, if everything is done correctly and everything holds true. Now, I have sometimes seen that right there happen where it doesn't stay. For whatever reason, the parameter is set, they disappear. Now you notice there's glass there, right? They're see-through. Wait a minute, the whole darn thing is see-through. Well, that's okay. I'm going to call this glass. Okay. And then we're going to have to go and remove because I didn't pick it up properly. So this glass texture is on everything now. So I'm going to remove that. We're going to remove that. We're going to remove that. Now, when you want to remove a texture from an item, the only way you can do that is you do have to be in object mode. Once you're in object mode, you can remove it. For whatever reason, it did that stupid thing where it's picking a different entity than what I've actually selected. I don't know why it does that, but it does. Okay, so there we go. I'm going to try. Oh, I've missed one wall here. I've missed the right wall. I'm going to leave that down there because that's where it's supposed to be on that glass. It was actually supposed to also be on there as well, but for whatever reason, it didn't. But it is there now. So you can see now there's see-through on both sides, okay? So that's kind of how you do the glass. On a side note, if you're using just solid base colors, if you make the decision to add a color and select a face and then go into here into surfaces and change this and make this a color, it does not always import in doing that using, or import all of the colors into 2020. The model here will look right, but when you import it into the simulator, so for example, you put a red roof on this thing, and you change this to red, when you import that into the simulator, it'll be white. It doesn't do it there. You have to go to these parameters and change the color here. If you change the color there, it will then import into the sim, and it will then be whatever color you decide it to be, or whatever color you decide to, or that you pick. Okay. So next thing, we're going to come up here and we're going to start dealing with the roof. Okay. I'm going to select those two faces because that's what I want to cover with the roof. Now, I have added this corrugated metal, so I'm going to put the corrugated metal in, and I'm going to go here so we can actually see the corrugated metal or the color. Now you see it's blue, and that's because we have to make a couple of adjustments. So there's no texture there, it's just a color, right? Click on shading at the top. I'm going to zoom in so you can get a better, closer look at this. Under this UV map, if you click on the ST and select UV map, then hit layout, you can see there is now some form of this texture in there. Okay, so now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to select those two faces, and we're going to do something called unwrap. So with those two faces selected, we're going to press U, and we're going to do a smart UV project. Okay. When I select that and I select that, you see all of a sudden the corrugation kind of turns. Now, sometimes it turns it in the wrong direction and you have to change that. I'm going to show you how to do that, okay? But in this case, it's done that. Now, it still looks a little weird, like, I mean, you have, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 ribs in an 80-foot building. That's some weird corrugated metal. So we're going to change that. We're going to click on that. We're going to highlight those two. And we're going to move that off to the side because we're going to open up another window here under UV editing. And there we go. I want that to be selected so I can see it. So these are the two roof sections, right? This roof and this roof, okay? So if I highlight those, if I were to, if all of a sudden I were to say it's orientated incorrectly, I could press the R key and press 90, and it would be orientated differently, right? But of course we have it orientated correctly. If I decided there was a pattern on this texture that I wanted to very much include inside here, let's say, this is a piece of wood and there was a knot right here that I actually wanted as a part of it. Well, I would highlight this, I would press the G key, and then I would move that over to this side, wherever it is that I wanted to move it, okay? In this case, I don't. All I want to do is I want to stretch it out a little bit and make the corrugated metal start looking a little bit better. So with that all highlighted, press the S key, scroll, or move the mouse over, and then when I click on this, I'm going to set this to 7. I find that with this corrugated metal, 7 is a pretty decent look, but each to their own. And you can see now we have, a pretty nice corrugated roof. Okay. Now, we got all this trim that is around, and I want to use that color of blue for all of the trim. So the trimming around the windows, the trimming around the doors, around the door, and that kind of stuff. I want to use that color for it. And so I'm gonna create a color. I'm going to first select a trim around something that will hopefully be correct. So that's what I want to trim out, okay? So We create a new, right? We go down here to Microsoft Flight Sim 2020 Param. We click on this. We hit Standard. We click on this. We click on the little eyedropper. Click. And if we go up here and label this trim, we see it's been trimmed in the same bluish color, okay? Not the texture, but the color. Okay, so we will endeavor to do the rest of it. See, it just always picks that. I don't know why it does that. Like, why does it select that? Like, it's ridiculous. Okay. If I click on trim, it should pick just that. It did. Okay, well, that's good. And the same thing we'll do for down here on this side. Hopefully I won't have to complain about it too much, but I do, because you see how I'm pressing the A key, which is supposed to select all within this, but it picks more. Okay, I think I got it this time, so let's just cross our fingers that we have it. There we go. Okay, so we've got that now. Now notice how we've got the texture underneath as well, and we're going to fix that because if I go to roof here and I select this face and this face, I'm going to create an inner roof. So F selection, probably something I should have done on the other episode, but that's okay. Okay, so now I have got this inner roof and I've got this texture in there, and I'm going to remove that, and we've lost the texture. It's gone. See? So one other thing I want to put that texture on is that's the fascia. Okay, fascia, I think I got it right. We click on this, we click on trim, and there we go. Okay, so we've got that trimmed out now properly. It looks good. What we're going to do now is we're gonna go back here. I'm not sure why. Let's find our door. Man door? No, not man door. Did I? That's man door. Roof. Did I not create doors for this? Yeah. No, that's the main door. Front. I actually didn't create this as separate entities. I kept this all as that. Okay, fair enough. Let's get this done. We're gonna do the door panels themselves first. So this one, 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 this one. That's the door panels. And hit the P key, hit selection, and we're going to call this main door. And we're going to go all the way around and select all of the other bits. So this, 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 this. Thought I had done this, but I guess I hadn't. So hold the Alt key and the Shift down. Alt and Shift. So that should have all of the entities that I care about that are going to become visible selected. Yeah. Is that selected down there? It's not. Make sure I got this side selected, and I didn't. Okay, so that's the edging all the way around. So then we're going to press the P key section, and this is going to be called main door trim. Okay, so now we've got them separated as I intended them to be. Okay, so the trim, my plan here is with the trim is to cover this. So I'm going to go in here and I'm going to pick the metal, and it should be covered now in the metal, and it is. And then we have to also go shading, and we have to change this to map. And there it is. We now have that metal thing there, and I could you know, stretch that out and change how it looks, or whatever. I'm not going to do that, but I could. So the next thing is we're gonna cover up the doors with something. Okay, so we're gonna select that. We're gonna press the A key. See, it did it again. That's all right. Okay, I think I've got it now selected correctly. So we're going to pick on wood, I believe is what we wanted. Yes. No. Shading. And there it is. I'm going to change the orientation of it, so I'm going to select all of the faces. Press the U key, smart. Here we go. That's good enough for me. Yeah, that's good enough. Okay. Now we need to do the door. So the left-hand man door, which is that right there. I'm going to do both sides. And I'm going to give it that same metal that I used on the trim. There it is. Okay. And this one I'm going to actually change the scaling a little bit because it looks weird, the texture of it, right? So if I were to click on that and go U, smart, you see how that changed that? And do the same on here, U, smart. It just it creates the texture a little more realistic, and even those flakes are too big. Really, if you think about a galvanized door, those little specks you see on the door are usually fairly small. We're going to leave them like that. It's going to be good enough. Okay, and then one final part, and that is we need to put textures on the outside of the building, right? Oh, there's two more things we're going to do. Two more? I think there's two more things we're going to do. Yeah, two more things, maybe three. Okay, so we're going to go up here. We're going to click the back wall, okay? That's the back wall. We're going to use this plaster. We'll come in here and we'll fix this up later. We're going to do the front wall. Now, did I do an inner and outer? I did not yet, so I'm going to do that now. Yeah, I did right there, front, inner. Plaster. Left wall. Plaster. Finally, right wall. Okay, so it doesn't really look terribly plaster-like. It kind of looks a little weird, but you know, there's two reasons for that. One, this has to be changed, and two, it needs to be the right side. Let me pick on this, press on U, and we'll do that. And then we'll go to the left wall and we'll select those two. Whoops. And we'll go U, smart, go like that. And did I do the front? Probably not. Let's do that. Let's go U, smart, okay. And the back, which is the final piece of the puzzle. And U, smart. Now again, I could, like I did with other things, I could go in there and I could, you know, stretch that out, make it look a little different. But you know, I think you get the point. If you wanted to do that with this one, you would UV editing. There it is right there. You would highlight all the entities, press the S key, and then you would drag it out, and it would then start looking somewhat different. Right? I'm not gonna change this, but if you wanted to, I'm gonna do it so you can actually see this now. So S, and if you look at the textures and how they're being manipulated and changed, and you know, so yeah, you can change that. I'm not going to. This is what it's going to look like. This is going to be, for all intents and purposes, this is going to be our finished product. So the next thing we're going to do here is, where are we at with time? Oh, we got good. We're good on time. We're going to add two more elements to this. We're going to add a prefabricated or pre-made light fixture, and then we're going to add just some lighting, some ambient lighting inside the hangar itself. And it won't be based on fixtures. You could, but in this case they won't be, because I want to show you how to do those two different things. Okay, so first things first, we want to add this in. Now, how do we add it in? Well, if we make sure we're on object mode, if we go down here and we click append, and we go and find the asset that we want to add. I happen to want to add this one right here. Okay, here it is now asking, how do you want it added in? Do you want it added in as a separate collection? Okay, so for example, as another one of these collections, or you just want to add it in here as an existing mesh. And that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to click on mesh, I'm going to double click on mesh. Those are the three items that I want to add in. I'm going to hit append, and the three items now added in. Those three items have attached themselves down there. Okay, so if I were to click on this, I can now drag the entirety of that out. I'm going to go back and just make sure I've got it all selected. It's really important as you're moving these things around that you select all of the entities before you move them. So I can see it's orientated not in the correct orientation. I need to turn that about 90 degrees. So I'm going to click on rotate, and I'm going to rotate this about 90 degrees. And then here I'm going to set it at negative 90, and it's been rotated. Now I'm going to move it up. I'm going to move it up and get it closer to where I plan to position this. Okay, up this way. And just just so you understand, this is really a small light. It really shouldn't be on here, but I just want to show you how you add it, and then you can add, you know, other larger or larger lights and so forth if you want. So there it is, been added, been placed. It will work as a light. And we know that if we go up here and we click on this final little bubble right there, we can now see that that is a light in there, okay? It's hard to see it, but that is a light. What did I want to do? I wanted to show you guys something, which I forgot. When I go to the settings, we're going to go in here and we're going to type texture lowercase. Okay, we're going to go to include, and we're going to include this one and these two. Okay, and that should be a light, and I don't know why it's not showing. We're gonna check this out here in a bit. Did I not get the light itself? I didn't. Wow, look at that. Did I leave the light there? Okay, let's re-add that in. Append. There is no light in there. Where's the light? Collection. Well, let's add that collection in. Light is there. Interesting. Interesting. Okay. I was certain that had a light in it. Did I pick the wrong version? That is possible. Let's attempt that one more time. Back it out. Oh, I see. It's always something new. Well, what we're going to do is we're going to add it as a collection, and then we're going to change it later on once it gets into there, because I don't like the way this is set. So we're going to add it as a collection. We're going to click on the collection. We're going to add it in, and that should give us a collection, which is not where I want it. All right. One more time. It's no big deal. I'm going to put it here. Append. Collection. Now it's added in. I have my light and I have all of it now. And so that is going to go away. We're going to get rid of all of that. Okay. So one of the issues with leaving it like this is that when we do the import-export, at times this creates a secondary thing that we have to deal with. And so I don't want to do that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to circumvent that. I'm going to right-click, highlight all of this, and I'm going to right-click on it. I'm going to copy it, and I'm going to go to here, and I'm going to paste it. Now it's in there. I'm going to delete this by highlighting it all, and I'm going to delete the collection. And now I've got this, and this, which is down there, and it is the light. Whoops, but I didn't get the light now, did I? Let's do that again. Okay, and so we want to turn that. ish. Let's call that -90. Okay. And then we want to move this up. I'm gonna get myself lined up here, and you're gonna see. There is a better way of doing this if you take the time to do it. But so, for example, if I did tilde B from underneath, I can now see that I need to pull that out. Right, there's the edge of the wall. Right, this is the edge of the wall. Okay. Tilde F. There we go. It's close enough, right? And so if we zoom in on that now, you can see there's a light. Now, the reason why I spent the time to do this is because I want to show you some of the some of the light parameters. If you click on the light down here, you have a light now, and here you have a preview, and here you have the lighting itself. It's showing us 10 watts. Be mindful, this watting system doesn't really translate to what you think it should translate to. Like if you put that at 100 watts, that's a really super bright light, right? And of course your average light bulb is 100 or 120 watt. But anyways, I'm gonna leave it at 10. Well, that's actually what that's what I've missed right there. This is not watt. This is watts, not volts. Okay. Anyways, likewise, you can click on this color palette and you can change the color of it. It's green. It's right. Because I made this as an entity to itself, it's kind of married together. But that doesn't mean that I can't move stuff around, right? So, for example, if I decided I wanted to move that light, I could still move that light. You see? So I can do that. I can move that stuff around. The light in pointing down is intended to be a square shape. It is only this way because how I have it kind of angled closer to the building, right? I think. I can change that square and I can make that 12, but if I make it 12, you see that it's outside of the light fixture, and so it illuminates the outside of the light fixture, which is not something we want. So, 2, this is intended to be a smaller, like a little bedside lamp and that kind of stuff. Maybe not quite a bedside lamp, but not a huge hanger light. But you can see how we add them in and how we added an additional feature that was made and then bring it in here. Instead of modeling everything directly in here. Okay? So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to add lights. So all of your assets, as you bring them into this model, they will go to the 0, 0, 0, the point of origin, right there. That's where they're going to drop in. I'm going to bring in a light. In the object mode, press the Shift key, press A key, the A key, go down and find light, and we're going to bring in aura. And there you see, there's the aura light, okay? I know that if I move this over here to 240, and if I move it up, whoops, that's the wrong one. Let's move it up 180, okay? And I'm going to bring in another one. This one I'm just going to, whoops. Excuse me. And this one I'm going to move it up, but leave it here at 180. And I'm going to add one more light, aura. We're going to move that over here, negative 240, and positive 180 up. Okay, so there we go. Now, because these lights are what they are, I want them to have a broader lighting area. Okay, so right now it's a 12-inch square right here. So I'm going to change that and I'll make that 24-inch, and I'm going to do that to all of them. And you can do this kind of based on your tastes and how you like it. I will caution you to not set the brightness of the light too high, because if you do that, what ends up happening is the light tends to bleed through the roof. Okay, but let's just turn this up just a bit. Let's go 15. And 15. Okay, so that concludes this session of texturing and getting it to, we're going to get it out of the nighttime. That concludes this session, and of course, if we had looked at that image that I talked about before, it doesn't conclude. There's one other thing I want to do. I forgot. So that's what we're trying to create. One thing is we have this blue roof. We're going to get rid of that blue roof. And the only reason why I'm doing this is because I want to show you how to add a texture, which is just a single file. How would you put that in? So I've got asphalt shingles for the roof, and I'm going to put them in here. Okay? So first things first, we're going to go to the roof. We're going to remove that. Remove. Okay. Now we're going to create a new material. Okay. And we're going to go down here to MSFS material param standard. We're going to come down here, and we're going to go to the base color, and we're going to go open. And then we're going to browse to where we have that texture, which is there, and looks like it switched places on me. No. Hang on now. Proofing, that's the one I want. So you can see it has now placed that on there. Now, you don't need to go into the shading and change any of that, because this is just a single image. You could go in there and you could stretch it, reduce the size of the shingles if you liked. I'm not going to do that, but I think you guys know how to do that now. But so you could do that. So that should, fairly closely represent that, because that's what we decided I wanted to try to make and show you how I would go about doing that. So now what we're going to do is we're going to do the final save out. That's the save out. Our next video is going to explain the export. It's going to explain some must-dos here in Blender before you do the export. And then it's going to load up the sim, drop this into a scenery somewhere in Microsoft 2020, so we can actually see the fruits of the labor that we've done. Raymond for Stream Gamers in association with Connect Air. I would, as always, appreciate a like, subscribe, comment, that sort of thing. I'm certainly trying to get better with creating content and making it more intuitive, more understandable, more in depth, however you want to say it. Click the notification bell down there somewhere, so that you will get any videos that come up next. Our next video, which will be part 3, and our final part will be the final piece of the puzzle, long-winded final piece of the puzzle, but again, at the end of these 3 parts, you should be equipped to produce that hangar, and with some creativity, you should be able to produce a wide variety of different assets in Microsoft Flight Sim, or for Microsoft Flight Sim 2020. Right? I appreciate your time. Thank you very much, and we will get to you on the next one. Bye-bye now.